Excuse me, young man. Who are you here with?
Him.
Mr. Sterling? It's okay. Let him come. Hey, buddy. What's your name?
Noah.
Noah. Okay. Where's your mother?
She's not here.
Are you lost?
No,
Have we met before?
I don't think so.
Then why have you been staring at me?
Because you look like me.
What did you say?
You look like me.
Richard,
What is it?
look at that boy.
Why?
Just look at him.
Alana, what are you thinking?
I don't know.
Who told you to come here?
My mummy.
Your mother sent you to me?
No,
Then why did you come?
I wanted to see you.
Why?
Because she told me not to.
She told you not to come near me? What's your mother's name?
Maya.
Maya, what?
Maya Carter.
Why?
Do you know my mummy?
7 years earlier, Maya Carter was already with Victor. Their relationship had existed long before Adrian ever entered her life. But Victor's love came with conditions. He questioned everything Maya did, and over time, she learned that keeping him calm was easier than standing up for herself. So when Maya found a job that could give her some financial independence, she took it. She didn't know that the job would change the direction of her entire life. Maya became a live-in maid for the Sterling family, entering a world of wealth so different from anything she had ever known. She cleaned their rooms, served their meals, and learned to disappear whenever the family wanted to feel important. To them, she was simply the help. Then Adrian Sterling came home, and unlike the rest of his family, Adrian actually noticed the woman everyone else had learned to ignore. At first, it was small things. He remembered her name, he noticed when she looked tired, and he began asking about the woman behind the uniform. Maya wasn't used to that kind of attention. Victor watched her to control her. Adrian listened because he wanted to understand her, and that difference began to matter. Slowly, their conversations became longer, their meetings became harder to avoid, and something Maya had promised herself would never happen began happening anyway. But every night, Maya still went home to Victor, and the contrast between the two men was becoming impossible for her to ignore. Maya knew she was crossing a line. She knew Victor was still waiting for her, but what she felt for Adrian had become too real to simply pretend it didn't exist. Adrian believed he was simply falling in love. Maya knew there was another man waiting at home, and neither of them knew that the secret between them was about to become far more serious than either could imagine. Maya knew she had crossed a line, but knowing it was wrong didn't make her feelings disappear. For Adrian, the secret was becoming something beautiful. He was falling for Maya without realizing how complicated her life really was. At home, Maya became more careful. She hid messages, avoided questions, and learned how to bury an entire part of herself whenever Victor was near. Victor could feel that something had changed. He didn't know what it was, but he knew Maya was no longer completely his. For a while, Maya tried to end it. She knew that the longer it continued, the more people could get hurt. But every time Maya tried to walk away, Adrian reminded her of what it felt like to be treated with tenderness instead of fear. Then one morning, Maya woke up feeling different. At first, she blamed the exhaustion. Then she realized something was wrong. Maya took a pregnancy test. The result left her frozen. she was pregnant. There was no confusion about the father. Maya knew exactly who the baby belonged to. What had once been a secret between two adults had suddenly become a life Maya was responsible for protecting. Maya could have told Adrian. She could have changed everything in one moment. But fear stopped her. Maya decided she would keep the truth to herself. She would protect her child, stay with the life she already knew, and bury Adrian's place in the story. She had no idea how long that secret would survive. For the next few weeks, Maya did everything she could to hide the pregnancy. She wasn't ready for anyone to know. But Adrian began noticing the little things. Maya was quieter, more tired, and she seemed determined to keep him at a distance. Maya knew she couldn't hide forever. Her body was beginning to reveal what her mouth refused to say. And then, the person Maya feared most noticed what she had been trying to hide. The Sterling family soon learned about Maya and Adrian, but instead of seeing two people who had fallen in love, they saw a threat to their family. To them, Maya wasn't a young woman caught in a complicated situation. She was the maid who had somehow gotten close to their son. They convinced themselves Maya had planned everything. In their minds, the maid had targeted their son because she wanted access to the Sterling fortune. Adrian tried to stand between Maya and his family, but for the first time, he was forced to choose between the woman he loved and the family that had built his entire world. In the end, the Sterling family chose their reputation. Maya was forced to leave the mansion, carrying nothing but her belongings, and the secret she had refused to reveal. Adrian watched her leave, believing he had lost the woman he loved. He didn't know that Maya was carrying something that belonged to him. With nowhere else to go, Maya returned to Victor, carrying a secret that could have changed everything. But she chose silence. Victor believed the baby was his. Maya never corrected him, because correcting him would mean exposing everything. Then Noah was born, and the moment Maya held him, she knew she had made the right choice, to protect him, even if it meant carrying the truth alone. Victor accepted Noah as his son without ever questioning the truth. Maya watched him hold the baby and knew the lie had become permanent. The years passed quickly. Noah grew into a bright, curious little boy who knew Maya as the safest person in his world. But home never became peaceful. Victor's temper grew worse, and Maya became more focused on protecting Noah from the man he believed was his father. Whenever Victor's anger filled the house, Maya became Noah's shield. She couldn't change Victor, but she could make sure Noah never faced him alone. As Noah grew older, Maya began noticing something she had tried not to see. His face was starting to reveal the man she had spent years trying to forget. Every time Maya looked at Noah, memories of Adrian returned. She wondered what would happen if Adrian ever saw the boy. Meanwhile, Adrian continued his life, without ever knowing that somewhere in the city, his son was growing up. Maya promised herself that whatever happened, Noah would never pay for the choices she had made. For 7 years, Maya kept the truth buried. But secrets don't disappear just because people refuse to speak about them. Sometimes, they simply wait for the right moment to reveal themselves. Noah was only 7 when Maya first realized the resemblance had become impossible to ignore. It wasn't just his smile anymore. His eyes, his expression, Even the way he looked at people reminded Maya of Adrian. Maya tried to convince herself it was coincidence. She had spent 7 years avoiding the truth, and she wasn't ready to face it now. Victor never questioned Noah's resemblance. Perhaps he didn't see it, or perhaps he simply never imagined there was another man to compare him with. One night, Maya made the mistake of comparing an old photograph of Adrian with a recent picture of Noah. The resemblance was no longer something Maya could explain away. Noah looked like Adrian, and suddenly every memory Maya had buried came rushing back. The mansion, Adrian, their secret, and the decision she had made afterward. For the first time, Maya wasn't afraid of someone discovering what she had done. She was afraid of what would happen to Noah when the truth came out. Then Noah began asking questions about his father. Questions Maya had spent 7 years hoping she would never have to answer. Maya gave Noah the answer he already knew. She told him Victor was his father. And once again, she chose silence. Across the city, Adrian had no idea that the child he never knew existed was beginning to ask about him. Maya had spent 7 years keeping Adrian and Noah apart, but now the resemblance was becoming a clue, and the truth was slowly finding its way toward the man who had no idea he was a father.
A few weeks later, Noah came home with an invitation that seemed completely ordinary. Maya had no idea it would bring her closest to the secret she had spent years protecting. Noah's school was hosting an achievement ceremony, and every child was allowed to bring someone special. Maya almost refused to go. Crowds made her uncomfortable, and anything involving wealthy people still reminded her of the life she had tried to bury. But Noah was too excited to disappoint, so Maya promised him she would be there. What Maya didn't know was that Adrian's company had become the main sponsor of the school program. Adrian rarely attended these events himself, but that year, something made him change his mind. On the morning of the ceremony, Maya dressed Noah carefully. Looking at him, she couldn't escape the resemblance anymore. For a moment, Maya saw Adrian's face staring back at her through her son, and the fear she had buried for 7 years returned. Maya walked into the event holding Noah's hand, unaware that the past she had buried was already inside the building. Minutes later, Adrian arrived. The man Maya had spent 7 years trying to forget was now standing in the same building as his son. Then Maya saw him. Her heart stopped. After 7 years, Adrian was only a few steps away. Maya knew there was nowhere left to hide, because for the first time, Adrian was about to look directly at the son he never knew he had. Adrian had seen hundreds of children at events like this, but the moment he saw Noah, something about the boy made him stop. It wasn't just that Noah looked familiar. Adrian couldn't explain why the boy's face felt strangely personal. Maya saw Adrian's expression and immediately understood what was happening. He was seeing it too. The eyes were almost identical. So was the shape of the smile. And suddenly, Adrian began remembering a face he hadn't seen in 7 years. Maya's face came back to him. The woman his family had driven away. The woman who disappeared without ever explaining why. Maya knew she had seconds before Adrian came closer. She quietly tried to move Noah away. But Adrian had already started walking toward them, and Maya knew there was no explanation she could give quickly enough. 7 years disappeared in a single glance. Adrian was looking at Maya again, and this time she couldn't simply walk away. Then Adrian looked at Noah again, and this time he wasn't seeing a stranger. Maya knew that moment had changed everything. The secret she had protected for 7 years was no longer hers alone. Adrian didn't need a photograph anymore. He had the boy standing in front of him, and he had Maya standing beside him. Adrian had one question he couldn't push away anymore. If this boy wasn't his, then why did Noah look exactly like him? Adrian didn't confront Maya in front of everyone. He waited until they were away from the crowd, where she could no longer disappear behind other people. 7 years had passed since Adrian last saw Maya, but standing in front of her now, he realized the years had changed almost everything, except the questions he had never received answers to. Adrian remembered the night Maya disappeared. His family had blamed her. She had left without explaining herself, and he had spent years wondering why. Then Adrian started doing the math. Maya disappeared 7 years ago. Noah was 7 years old. And suddenly, the timeline wasn't a coincidence anymore. Maya still said nothing. She had spent 7 years protecting the secret, and fear had taught her that silence was safer than the truth. But every time Adrian looked at Noah, Maya's silence became less convincing. Adrian remembered how close they had been. He remembered the trust between them, and he remembered that Maya had disappeared soon afterward. Maya knew the truth was finally standing at the door, and this time she wasn't sure she could keep it out. Then Adrian saw the boy's name on the event program, Noah Carter. The name meant nothing to him, but the timing suddenly meant everything. When Maya saw the program in Adrian's hand, she knew he had found the final piece he needed to start asking the right questions. Maya had spent 7 years controlling the story, but now Adrian had questions she could no longer escape. Adrian no longer needed Maya to confess. There was only one way to know for certain. Adrian had spent the entire night trying to convince himself that the resemblance meant nothing. But eventually, he stopped fighting the question. He decided there was only one way to settle it. He would find the truth quietly, before anyone else could interfere. Maya didn't need Adrian to tell her what he was planning. She could see it in his eyes. The secret was about to be tested. And through all of it, Noah remained completely innocent. He had no idea that 2 adults were quietly fighting over a truth about his identity. Adrian watched Noah laugh, and for the first time, he allowed himself to imagine the impossible. What if this really was his son? Maya had spent 7 years imagining this moment. She just never imagined it would hurt this much. Adrian quietly arranged for a DNA test. He didn't need accusations. He didn't need Maya's confession. He needed proof. Then came the hardest part: waiting. That night, Maya watched Noah sleep. She had protected him from the truth for 7 years. Now she had no control over whether the truth would protect him or destroy everything he knew. 2 days later, the report arrived. Adrian stared at the envelope for several seconds before finally opening it. The result confirmed what Adrian had been afraid to believe. Noah was his son. Adrian finally had the answer, but the answer came with a devastating realization. While he had been building an empire, his son had been growing up without him. Adrian had spent years believing he had lost Maya. He never imagined he had lost 7 years with his own son. He kept looking at Noah's photograph, searching for the years he had missed in a face that looked so much like his own. Maya knew the moment had finally come. Adrian knew. Maya looked at Noah and wondered whether telling the truth had finally become more dangerous than hiding it. Adrian remembered the way Maya had been treated when his family discovered their relationship, and for the first time, he wondered what had happened to her after she left. The more Adrian learned about Maya's life after leaving, the more his anger changed. She hadn't disappeared into comfort. She had been struggling to survive. Then Adrian discovered Victor, the man Maya had returned to after leaving him, the man who had spent years believing Noah was his. And Adrian learned something even more painful. Noah had grown up in a home where Maya was constantly trying to protect him from Victor's anger. Adrian had been angry before, but this was different. Someone had been raising his son while making Maya and Noah live in fear. Maya knew Adrian would eventually come for answers, and this time she couldn't protect Noah by simply disappearing. And then Adrian arrived. After 7 years, the father Noah never knew was standing outside his home. Then Noah looked up at the man standing at the door. Adrian looked back at the boy. Neither of them knew what to say, but for the first time, father and son were finally standing face to face. Adrian had imagined this moment 1,000 times, but nothing prepared him for seeing his son standing right in front of him. Noah didn't understand why this stranger looked so familiar, but even a child could see that something about them was the same. After 7 years of silence, Maya finally told Adrian the part of the story she had been too afraid to tell. She told him about his family, the humiliation, the accusations, and the day she was forced out while carrying his child. Adrian finally understood why Maya had disappeared. She hadn't abandoned him. She had been pushed away from him. Then Victor came home, and the moment he saw Adrian standing beside Maya and Noah, he knew something had changed. Victor learned that the man standing before him was Noah's biological father, and immediately he refused to accept it. Victor didn't care what a DNA test said. In his mind, he was Noah's father, because he had been there for 7 years. Maya had spent years protecting Noah from Victor's temper. Now she feared the conflict between 2 fathers could become something much bigger. Adrian knew being Noah's biological father wasn't enough. If Victor refused to cooperate, Adrian would have to fight for his son legally. Victor refused to surrender Noah quietly. He took the fight to court, determined to prove that being a biological father didn't make Adrian a real father. And just like that, Noah's future became the center of a battle between the man who had raised him and the man who had never known he was his father.
The courtroom was packed, but everyone was waiting for the same question: who should raise Noah? Victor's argument was simple. Adrian had a biological connection, but Victor had been there every day of Noah's life. Adrian's side had something Victor couldn't argue with: scientific proof that Noah was his biological son. The DNA report confirmed what Adrian already knew: Noah was his son. Then the court turned to the one person who knew the entire story: Maya.
Maya told the court why she left Adrian, why she kept Noah's identity secret, and why she had returned to Victor. She also revealed what Noah had endured at home: years of control, fear, and an environment where she constantly struggled to protect her son. Victor's confidence began to disappear. The case was no longer just about who had raised Noah. The court was beginning to question the kind of home Noah had been raised in. But the judge didn't want adults deciding everything for Noah. She needed to understand what Noah himself felt. Noah didn't understand the legal battle. He only understood that one man had always been around, while another man had suddenly appeared, claiming to be his father. Adrian finally understood that winning Noah biologically wouldn't be enough. He had to become the father Noah actually needed. The judge wasn't ready to hand Noah to either man. She wanted more evidence, and that meant the next hearing could change everything. When the second hearing began, neither man knew that the case was about to take a completely different turn. Victor had expected the court to focus on how long he had raised Noah. He wasn't prepared for the court to examine how he had raised him. Adrian's legal team presented records that revealed years of instability inside Victor's household. Each document added another piece to a story Maya had been too afraid to tell completely. Maya remembered every night she had quietly endured because she believed keeping the family together was the only way to protect Noah. Then the judge heard directly from Noah. His answers were simple, but they revealed more than the adults expected. Adrian heard enough to understand something painful. Noah wasn't asking for a richer life. He was asking for a safer one. For the first time, Victor realized that raising Noah for 7 years might not be enough to keep him. But Adrian wasn't interested in punishing Maya anymore. He finally understood that she had been surviving a life he never knew existed. For the first time in 7 years, Maya looked at Adrian without seeing the mansion, his family, or the past. She saw the father Noah had been missing. Then the judge returned to the courtroom with her decision, and one sentence was about to change Noah's entire life. The court ruled that Noah would go with Adrian, but the judge made one thing clear. This wasn't about rewarding a billionaire. It was about giving a child the safest future possible. For the first time, Adrian wasn't leaving the courthouse as a billionaire. He was leaving as Noah's father. Noah reached for Adrian's hand without being asked. It was a small gesture, but to Adrian, it meant everything. Maya watched them and realized she didn't have to carry the entire burden anymore. Adrian brought Noah into a world completely different from the one he had known, but he quickly realized that luxury wasn't what the boy needed most. Noah had a beautiful room now, but Adrian knew a room couldn't replace 7 missing years. So Adrian stopped trying to impress Noah with money. He started giving him what money could never buy: time. He showed up for school mornings. He learned Noah's favorite subjects. He learned what made him laugh. And for the first time in years, Maya could breathe without wondering what Victor would do next. Adrian and Maya couldn't change what had happened, but they could choose what happened next. One night, Adrian looked at a picture of Noah as a toddler and finally allowed himself to grieve the years he could never get back. Adrian couldn't give Noah the first 7 years, but he could make sure his son never had to wonder whether his father would be there again. Adrian thought the DNA test had given him his son back,
but the truth was deeper. Noah had given Adrian something money never could, the chance to finally become the man his son needed.